Alright everybody, Elon Musk is saying that the government is unfixable, and how this is going to impact the Bitcoin price is absolutely going to shock you. But first, we're going to have to dive into the short-term Bitcoin analysis. As you guys know, here I'm up here $731,000 here on my Bitcoin and Ethereum position. That's about 30,000 more here since the last video. And yes, we have seen a very small pump here on Bitcoin, and as well we saw a little bit of some good positive price movement here for Ethereum. As you guys know, I am just going to continue to hold this position, and I still believe that this bull market is going to continue. As you guys can currently see here, the funding rate is still inside this negative territory, and the last two times that we did this, for example, right over here, massive rally to the upside, over here, massive rally to the upside. Negative funding rate is generally the area where the Bitcoin price tends to bottom. So the fact that we are holding up quite nicely is, in my opinion, a very good sign. Now, the reason that we did have this move here to the downside was mainly because someone was selling a bunch of Bitcoin. I think someone sold like over $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. And since then, we've kind of been going sideways. And as I told you guys in the last video, it seems like people are a little bit bored here about the Bitcoin price, but that is an absolutely good thing. And why it is such a good thing is that, let's say, for example, that the Bitcoin price was going to top out here around this level. You know, we've broken the previous all-time high. We're currently up here, $113,000. Like, that's a very nice amount. Like, what is it? Like a 7x, 8x since the bear market bottom. Some people might actually say that, hey, this is the Bitcoin bull cycle top right over here, but what makes absolutely no sense that if I go to my views, for example, like I go watch here my latest video, it got 3,000 views, which isn't too bad here for my channel. But during a Bitcoin bull run, that tends to go a lot higher. That goes up to about like 10K, 20K. And the fact that that's just kind of just stabilizing here at 3,000 views, in my opinion, again, indicates that people are not that interested into Bitcoin. And that is a very bullish sign, because kind of when people are getting bored and people are not really watching the Bitcoin price, that's generally not around the Bitcoin all-time high. So for example, back here in 2021, my views got a massive amount of views, but Bitcoin was on the news. Everybody was talking about Bitcoin. In 2017, everyone was talking about Bitcoin. But currently, we're up, you know, significant amount of money. But what we can see is that Bitcoin just doesn't have that much traction. And even the altcoins don't have that much traction. Yeah, here and there people sometimes talk about it. But in my opinion, I don't think we're anywhere near the Bitcoin bull cycle all-time high. And as I told you guys, I still think we're going to go here to about $200,000, which is specifically why I have positions open. Now, as you guys know here, I try to make money any way possible. You know, I have all sorts of different ways that I actually make money. I have other businesses to the side as well, so it's not just that I'm just doing, you know, Bitcoin trading or YouTube videos, whatever. And I will continue again here just to continue to trade Bitcoin, and I'm gonna buy Bitcoin here around 65, 60, you know, 60, 70,000 US dollar eventually when we do have that pullback, because we do know that we tend to be inside these big bear markets. And as you guys know here, I'm trading here on the BTC exchange. I have a couple of exchanges here. If you actually want to change them, check them out here. They're all non-KYC here besides Bybit, but you can actually get here a deposit bonus here on Blofin as non-KYC, and BTCC right over here as well, and BitFi, and also check out Bybit. So whatever exchange you want to actually check out, you can check it by using the link here in the description. Now, as you guys know here, whatever I'm going to be making here, I am going to be throwing it into the Bitcoin price when it eventually goes to 60K. And that is still going to be the plan. Now, the thing is, and you know, this is quite important, is that we have this guy called Elon Musk. I guess you've heard about him before, but he's quite central in the government. So he used to be part, of course, of the administration. He got like kicked out, or there was some kind of a fight going on, because basically what Elon Musk knows is that, you know, he knows what I know, what I've been talking about for many years. As you guys know here, I have this chart right over here about the hyperinflation of the Weimar Republic, which talks about the fact that, you know, the government is unfixable. Like, there's nobody who can actually fix this. And how this is going to be bullish for the Bitcoin price is that basically the more that the government prints, the higher the Bitcoin price is going to go. Now, some people have the argument that Bitcoin is not a real currency because you can't buy a coffee with it, for example. But currency has all sorts of different elements that, you know, and different specifications that make something worth to be money. You know, one of the things is that you want to go to the shop and you want to buy something with it. But the other one, which is also incredibly important, is that it holds its value. If you have money, for example, like the Venezuelan bolivar, if you go to, you know, take the Venezuelan bolivar, which is of course known to be super big hyperinflationary, if you go to the store in Europe and Italy, whatever, or to the US and try to buy coffee with it, they won't accept it because it doesn't hold its value. Like, what is it worth? Nothing. So even if you can buy and it's easy to buy something with it, doesn't actually mean that it should actually be used as money. Now, with Bitcoin, it's the case that it's not accepted as a payment, but it has a very good store of value. But what we potentially are going to see is that when the government is going to continue to print money, and the lower the actual the money that we are currently using, the fiat money goes down, the more money flows into Bitcoin. When people start to denominate actual products and kind of start thinking in their head, okay, I have this much Bitcoin, this is how much I can buy with it. And once you start denominating everything in Bitcoin, then the next step is going to be accepting. So it is going to take some time, but if the government is not, we can't fix it. They will just continue to print money. There's really not much they can do. And it's going to be positive for Bitcoin, bad for society, but Bitcoin will go up in fiat numbers. But we have to find some way we can actually protect ourselves. And this here is from Trending Bitcoin, which actually shows over here an S-curve, which basically says that basically you have this something called an S-curve, that it tends to start off very high, goes a little bit flat, and in the end, again, it goes very, very quick to the upside in terms of adoption. And this person is saying we're going to be at $200 million in 2031. I don't really believe so. I think we're going to be very, very high. You have all these weird, crazy, bullish charts. But I think the most important thing is, if you can just hold your value, like you go to the store, you buy a burger, you buy a hot dog, or you buy a chicken. Everything is so incredibly expensive. If you want to buy a house in a nice area, if you just have a normal job, you can't keep up with it. If you save your money, if you buy bonds, you can't keep up with it. If you can just keep your money in Bitcoin and you outperform inflation, and you're able to buy more things over time, that is enough. Like, we don't need to go to 200 million in like what's like 6 years. That's a little bit ridiculous. But if the inflation is 10% a year and Bitcoin goes up on average 15% a year, then it's still going to be better than anything else. And it's still going to be fine because you're still going to make progress. And I think that's the most important thing. Like, you can see this trade over here I'm doing. You can trade, you can make millions of dollars, anything like that. But if you can just outperform inflation, I think that's the absolute most important thing. So anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about here in this video, a little bit of a quicker video. I'm still traveling, still here in a very nice country here, enjoying the nice spaghetti. And I'm just going to wait here. We're going to wait for the Bitcoin price to do something, and then we'll be back later with some bangers videos here once this thing really starts moving. So I hope to see you guys, of course, here in my next video. Bye-bye.